Hello everybody, welcome to Grounded Roots Healing. I had a spontaneous spiritual enlightenment that started in December of 2023. It lasted approximately 3 days, after which I woke up and I was back to my old self. Now I still had all the lessons that I had learned over that 3-day period, but I was essentially back to the same old me. And I've been on a journey to get back there ever since. Now, when I was in this state, I was shown that everything is energy, including matter, and everything has a vibrational frequency. And in order to get back to that enlightened state, I needed to raise my vibrational frequency. So, if you want to have practical, tangible steps in order to get your vibration and frequency higher and to attain enlightenment yourself, follow along as I outline the steps that I've taken to this point and steps that I'll be taking in the future to start ascending the frequencies. So with that being said, I'll go take one of the steps that I find to be the most effective, and we'll see you later. Hey everybody, another day. Today I'm going to talk about shadow work. And I'm going to talk about that today because I've actually gone through some. So it's fresh in my mind, and I thought it would be wise to get this out while I'm still going through it. And it's quite a big part of this awakening journey. It's actually a huge part. It's at least as important as the body. So I'll discuss that in a minute here. I'm just at a local beach. I decided to go ground myself, as I often do, and no better place to do that than in the ocean. So I'll do that shortly after this video. So what is shadow work? Essentially, what you're doing is allowing your body and your monkey mind to go through the preconditioned or conditioned behaviors that you've developed, most likely as a young person, child even, before the age of 7, to deal with the issues that come up in your life. So as you can imagine, this is probably not the best way to go through your life, using behavioral patterns that we figured out when we were little kids to try to go through life now. The shadow work, in my opinion, is the way that we process this stuff so that we don't have to keep going through the same thing. So a way to rewire our brains so that these behavioral patterns don't set us off on these tangents anymore. They don't ruin our day. So, for example, one of the first times I've actually experienced this and understood what the difference was back after my 3-day enlightenment. I went through a soul boot camp, and during soul boot camp, I had an experience where I was dealing with my employer at the time. So the universe put this in my way so that I would understand how to do this. I'm quite convinced of this, actually, and this is how it works. So I had to send a nasty email, and it was in regards to getting paid. I wasn't getting paid promptly, and it needed to be dealt with. Now, every time I had to send an email like this in the past, where I would get anxiety, my body would even start to shake before I'd hit send on an email. All the behaviors that happen to us when we're afraid to deal with something when we're a little kid, I would still do it. I would still stand up for myself, but I'd still experience this every time. So conflicts were really difficult for me. If I had to deal with something like this, it was difficult. So in this instance, I had woken up. I had seen the difference between the conscious mind and the monkey mind. So I knew consciously that I had to deal with this, and then I was perfectly in the right to do this. They had no right to do what they were doing. So I was perfectly justified to send this email. Yet I still struggled. And I couldn't figure out why, because I knew deep down this was the right thing to do. And yet I still had the nervousness, and before you hit send on that email, and it went out. And then I spoke with my Reiki practitioner, Jamie, and she explained to me what was actually happening. I was going through shadow work. So the body and the monkey mind were going through all the same behavioral patterns that they always have. And I was experiencing it, and I didn't like it because I wasn't in control. So the way that we deal with this, so that we can stop having our bodies have those reactions, is to shine a light on the reason why you're having that reaction. Why is that causing you anxiety? Why is that stressing you out? Why are you getting the shakes? And shine a light on it, look at it, and let it go. Now, what I often do is I'll breathe it into my heart center. So I'll use my conscious attention. I'll focus on that issue that I'm having, that particular feeling that I don't want to have anymore. And I want to change the wiring in my brain. So I focus it into my heart chakra. I let the heart chakra do its business and transmute that energy into something where it doesn't happen anymore. And then I let it, I breathe it out of my mouth. And that works extremely effectively for me. So I've been going through this a lot. This is something that everybody's going to have to go through. And as I often say, our objective here is to grow holistically. So body, mind, and spirit, right? This is the trifecta. Now, it's okay for your conscious mind to know the difference, but if your body and your monkey mind are still going through all these emotions, it's really going to not be much better. You're still going to struggle. It's still going to hurt. So we want to change that. So what we do is what I just explained. So why did this come up today? So the universe had a little present for me. So obviously I haven't dealt with all the emotional issues I've had in regards to unconditional love and support from women in my life. This has been a very big topic for me. So the family that I grew up in how do I put this? All the women in that generation, in that entire community, in my opinion, or nearly all, were hurt. Were hurt by the men in their lives. Now, the men in their lives were also hurt by men in their lives. So it became a vicious cycle of the men hurting everybody, and then the women not being able to show love to the little boys. So after you reached a certain age, you stop getting hugs, you stop getting attention, you stop getting support from the women in your life. And this was my experience completely. So now I don't blame anyone in this. This was a generational trauma thing. This is not anyone's fault. This is, well, I believe I was sent to deal with this. But I mean, you can think about it whichever way you'd like. But in my opinion, there's no fault to be put here. Like, this is something that just kept propagating for generation after generation after generation after generation to who knows how long into the past. So this was no different for me. So it happened for me. Okay, so I'm going through life. I reached the age of 7. I've gone through all this stuff. If you want to hear the backstory, you can go back to my second video. I describe it in, well, as much detail as necessary. And then mom stopped hugging me, right? So, and I stopped getting that unconditional support. And I didn't get it anywhere else in my life until I got to Miss Teresa's class. Miss Teresa Clemens was my godsend. That's no exaggeration. She probably doesn't even know how important it was, what she did, but she showed me that I had value. She showed me support. Try not to get choked up. and she showed me that I was worth something. So last night I had a dream of a particular woman in my life who I've had a bit of a struggle with. Is in my family, and she. So how did the dream go? It was I was ill. I felt sick, and I've actually felt sick while I was in the dream, like really sick, like dizzy and nauseous. And I walked into the living room, and this person was sitting on the couch, and I fell flat out, and I couldn't move, and I was like asking for help, and the female that I'm referring to wouldn't help me. She just looked at me and was like, "Yeah, okay." And then my son came running over to help me. So sons and daughter. So what was the point of this? This whole point was I still have issues with support from women in my life. There's not the issue that the actual women don't give me the support. It's an emotional shadow work thing. So I breathed that into my heart center. I didn't realize that until I had another incident today. So a mentor of mine that I was, I still am, fond of, and I was maybe putting too much emphasis on how important this relationship was, than it actually was, messaged me and said that, it wasn't an unconditional support message. Let's just put it that way. I won't go into details, but it doesn't matter. So the inner child in me that's looking for that motherly figure, that person to just give me a hug, and love me unconditionally and support me in whatever decision I make, it once again triggered that. So now I know that was on purpose by the universe, and I know I have to deal with that. But I started to put two and together, why I had that dream and why this message came, and then I realized that I still have this motherly stuff to deal with. So I've been dealing with that. I did, as I described earlier, breathe into my heart center, release it. So after I ran into Miss Clemens at the ripe age of, I'm not sure, it was grade 6, so I don't know what age that is anymore, maybe 12 years old. And I struggled to find, after her class was over, I was devastated, to be honest. And my marks did go downhill after that. I struggled to find purpose because I didn't get it at home. I didn't get the love that I needed at home to support me. So this went on for basically the rest of my school lifetime. So from grade 6 to right through to grade 12, I didn't find anyone like that again to help me out, to help heal that inner child that's still not healed completely. And then I met my wife, Amanda, and this was preordained for sure. We both knew immediately that we were going to get married, in love very quickly, and we've been together ever since. And this would have been in my 12th year of school. At the end, I was already finished, and I was doing a summer job as a police officer by chance, summer police officer, no guns. And she was working by chance, just happened to be working locally, and we were separated by quite a distance, community-wise. So I hadn't ever met her before, and it just happened to work out that way. And I had recently broke up with my girlfriend, or she broke up with me, and things just worked out, and that's the way it goes. So where am I going with this? So the support that I didn't get from my family, I found in hers. I was shocked at the difference between the two families and how they carried themselves. How much hugging there was, because I was so uncomfortable having hugs. And then her grandmother. So her grandmother pretty much adopted me. I became the surrogate grandchild. And no, she's since passed. She comes to visit us quite often, actually, but nobody's ever really gone, by the way. Mamar was her name, which is it's a French derivation of ma mère, and it means grandmother, like the mother. And she was the mother. She was the mother of everybody. So I got that unconditional love eventually. And it was spectacular, but unfortunately I wasn't healed back then, and I didn't know how to take the most of it or make the most of it. So I regret that, but it is what it was, and I need to get through this and deal with this and be okay with not ever having that. So it's my inner child that I'm trying to heal here. Adult conscious Jason knows that it's too late for that in your life, but he needs it. So I'm trying to be the parent of my inner child. I'm trying to heal these wounds by doing the stuff that I said, and we're trying to move on. So that's been my day. It's a fun game, this shadow work. It takes a long time, and it's healing that part of the trifecta of body, mind, and spirit. That it's a low vibrational thing. These emotions are low vibrational and low frequential, and they don't do anything to help us ascend when those are the kinds of reactions we're having when we have these things happen in our life. So we got to get past them. We got to heal them, and it's a lot of work. If you've had a childhood like I've had, it's going to take a while. This isn't a cakewalk. You're not in for a good time until you start to realize that every time you deal with one of these things, it's one less thing you have to deal with. There are ones that are going to hurt a lot more than once. They're going to keep coming back. They're going to be stubborn. They're going to take a while to deal with, but you can do it. And I've gone through a lot of this. I'm by no means finished, but if I could describe to you, and I probably will describe to you what it was like when I first started going through the shadow work, it was one night after another of these epic shadow battles, I like to call them. So, it's not that. I might have something like this come up once a week now, and it was every night. So, things are getting better, and I feel like I was very mature in how I handled this today, and I understood it from the get-go of what was going on. Not exactly, but it became pretty clear and what I needed to do. And I'm not here sobbing uncontrollably like I would have been before. So we're moving on, we're making progress, and life's getting better. So as I always say, I hope this video finds you well. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow.